Okay, welcome everybody to tonight's meeting of the Mulberry City Council. Today is January 16th, 2025. It is exactly 6:30. I don't believe, I think he just walked in. Not to put him on the spot right when he walked in, but is it Pastor Olan? Am I saying that correctly? Olin. This is Pastor Olin. Olin, he is from a Romanian church that is actually about to move into Mulberry. So he's going to lead us in our invocation for this evening.
I know it's not appropriate to excuse yourself for the traffic, but I have no other options. Thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity to be here today. It's an honor for me to be all of us in front of God with all the people from Mulberry City. I'm one of the citizens of Mulberry City, and I'm planning to stay around. I would like to share just one thought. I appreciate every single one of you. I feel honored. It's one of the very few times when I'm staying in front of a big committee without fears, because I respect all of you and I know you are a man ordained by God. It's one thing that I want to bring from the scripture to you. Reading the prophets of the Old Testament, there are three major things in each prophet: dates, dignitarians, and directions. And that stays in my mind to tell you one thing. One of the very important dates for City of Mulberry, it's January 1st, 2025. God bless that day, because it's the day when the city starts to work. Second, dignitarians, kings, emperors, mayors, and all kind of people. They are mentioned in the prophets with very special assignments. And I will like God to bless all of you to be the people that will be under God's directions. Let's not forget, people elect you, God empowers you. And the very last thing I want to address with respect is the direction. It's important, this part of the world, this very small spot on the map of United States or of the world, to be under God's protection. That's why I would like to say a brief prayer and to call the name of God for this meeting. I lost my breath. Dear Father, I'm staying in your presence today with these wonderful people, and I'm calling your name for every single one of us here in this place. And I'm asking you to be the God that will give us wisdom, direction, dedication, power, help for ourselves, for our elected people, for the people that elect the people in front of them. I'm asking you to bless every single family and help us, God, to stay under your protection, under your guidance, today and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Olin from the Romanian church. If you want to remain standing, we'll go ahead and say our pledge. So if you could join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, just as a reminder, we do have copies of the agenda up on the podium, as we always do, so feel free to come forward and grab a copy of the agenda if you would like. We also are going to have public comments, as we always do. Our one request, as always, is if you could go ahead and sign Madam Clerk Pitts's notepad up there. So if you do have something you'd like to say, if you could go ahead and move to her, and she could go ahead and be taking down your name. First item I'm going to do is call the roll. So we'll go in order of the districts. From District 1, Councilman Tim Sullivan.
Present.
District 2, Councilman Michael Coker. That is me. I am present. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields.
Present.
District 4, the Mayor Pro Tem, Michael Rudnick.
Present.
And District 5, Councilman Doug Ingram.
Present.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you could note that all 5 council members are present this evening. The first thing I want to do is talk a little bit to everybody as we move into the opening comments about kind of what's been going on behind the scenes. There's been a lot people working hard at the city of Mulberry, so things are definitely moving along. Rebecca and the CPL team, I see Kevin McCumber's here tonight. They've been working very hard on the permitting process to pick up the permits where they were left off for as minimal amount of delay as possible. That is going on. Also, we are in the process of setting up the online payment processor for the occupational tax certificates. So for those of you that run a business in Mulberry, as we've discussed previously, you will no longer pay your occupational taxes to the county. Those fees will eventually go to Mulberry. If you go to our website, there's a little bit more information about when that should be live. The website notes that it should be around January 27th. Okay, so around January 27th, we expect those invoices to be live, and you should be able to have the opportunity to go online and pay during that time period. The final thing I want to mention, just as an item of discussion too, for the council members, is as we continue to get the city going as far as the permitting and the planning and zoning, the city of Mulberry will need a planning commission. Okay, so we will need volunteers who are willing to sit just like this at formal meetings to discuss different zoning requests or variances that might come forward. If that is something that you are interested in, whether that's somebody who's here tonight or if for someone watching at home, we would love to hear from you. So if you could, feel free to reach out and email to us why you think you'd be good at that job. And whether or not you'd be interested in doing that. We will discuss each council member will have the ability to nominate people for that planning commission. And so that will be something, so the best thing for you to do if you are interested is reach out to your specific council member. So if you're in District 1, for example, you would reach out to Council Member Sullivan, okay? And so basically let your council member know if you are interested in being on that planning commission. The next item on the agenda, item F, is the consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. Is there any items that need to be added to tonight's agenda for January 16th of 2025? I have one item. So in our last meeting, we had adopted the Gwinnett County's Emergency Operations Plan, which for those that are listening, that is basically what would happen if there was some sort of catastrophic event in the city of Mulberry. Who's the chain of command, who'd be responsible, who's going to take action. We adopted last week the county's Emergency Operations Plan, but the county has specifically asked us to adopt a formal resolution for that. And so I've provided a copy of that resolution to all of the council members. But if we could add that, I would like to maybe make a motion that we can add that under action items J. Maybe we can add that as D. If we could add the emergency operations plan resolution, just so we can go ahead and just formally adopt that.
Mayor, did you say you had copies of that?
Yes, they were in your email.
Oh, that's
So
right.
yes.
Okay, yes, you're right.
So they were in your email earlier today. If you need to look at a copy, I have a copy right here too. You can feel free to glance at that. So I'll make a motion to amend the agenda for tonight's meeting to add action item under JD, which will be the resolution for the emergency operations plan as suggested by the county. Is there any other additions? Okay, at this time I'll take a second to that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. That agenda is amended. So then at this time, I will make a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council meeting agenda for January 16th, 2025 as amended. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. The Mulberry City Council meeting agenda for January 16th, 2025 is hereby adopted. The next item up is under item G. At our last meeting, we had adopted the January 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes, and I believe there was some concern about who was present and who was not, and so I believe we needed to revisit this and look at it and adopt the amended version. So is there any discussion about this amended version, which should correctly state who was present for that January 2nd, 2025 meeting?
No, that was my apologies for making that mistake.
I wasn't going to call you out on it, but
It's okay. The amended minutes appear to be correct.
okay, perfect. Then do I have a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council meeting minutes for January 2nd, 2025 as amended and as they sit here in front of us today?
I'll make a motion to approve the January 2nd, 2025 minutes as amended.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, the meeting minutes for January 2nd, 2025 as amended are hereby adopted. Okay, the next item is the consideration of the January 9th, 2025 meeting minutes. This was our last meeting. Is there any discussion about these meeting minutes from January the 9th, 2025? Hearing none, I will take a motion to adopt the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the January 9th, 2025 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a vote of 5, the meeting minutes for January 9th, 2025 are hereby adopted. Okay, that brings us to the public comment section of our evening. So we are going to reserve 2 minutes for each speaker. So Madam Clerk, if you could keep the time for the 2 minutes for each of our speakers. Is there any public comments this evening?
Yes. Angelina Pasmino.
Okay.
Or is it? Okay, yeah. Hi, my name is Angelina Pasmino. I live in District 5. So I just have something quick to say. I'm just a little concerned about the lack of communication, I feel, between the city of Mulberry and its citizens. The website right now doesn't work on mobile. I haven't checked on desktop, but it's not working on mobile. And there are no real updates sent to the email list or like on the Instagram, no meeting reminders or like regular updates on what was discussed in meetings. You guys posted the meeting agenda on your story and then deleted it. I would just like to see some more regular communication between the city and its citizens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Any other public comments, Madam Clerk?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then at this time, I will close the public comment section, which will bring us to action item J, which is our action items for this evening. The first item is item A. So for those of you that were at our last meeting, we were able to adopt the contracts for the Finance Administration Consultant, CKH. We were also able to adopt the InterDev contract, which was for IT. There were still some comments and some revisions going back and forth between the city attorney as well as CPL, who is handling our code enforcement and planning and zoning. I've provided the council members all with a copy of the final version of the CPL contract. Is there any discussion on that contract? Okay, hearing none, at this time then I will take I will make a motion to adopt the service agreement between the City of Mulberry and CPL for the service of planning and development municipal services and permitting and inspection municipal services. Do I have a second?
You have a second?
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a unanimous vote of 5, the service agreement between the City of Mulberry and CPL for planning and development municipal services and permitting and inspection municipal services are hereby granted. Item B, so one of the items that obviously we want to make it as convenient as possible for our constituents is we want to be able to take payments online, right? We want to be able, if you want to renew your business license, instead of having to mail a check, we want you to be able to go online and put that payment into the computer and then obviously submit it electronically just for ease of use. In order to do that, we have to enter an agreement with a merchant or a payment processor to take credit cards on the website. And so we have a contract here from CSG Forte Payments. They are a company that integrates with the software that we currently are using and is being currently developed for our tax, occupational tax certificates, I believe for the permitting, those items. So is there any discussion from the council on this contract or the Forte payment system agreement?
I have a couple questions, Mayor. One of the questions I have is just a contractual item. I think there's a term of 5 years in here. I don't think we can do that. I think that might need to be amended. Is that correct, Mr. Riley?
You're correct, council member. We've gotten everything else on that contract other than that portion of the agreement. Even if we send it for 5 years, it would only last for 1 under state law. I would suggest, if you're satisfied with the rest of it, that you go ahead and approve this payment processing agreement. Mr. McCumber's here, who has worked with these folks. He understands that it does meet the criteria that the mayor had previously set out, and that this is the standard kind of processing contract and agreement that other cities are signing. It also now has the amount in there for the service fee that would be payable by anyone who wanted to use this rather than bringing in a check, which we also are going to have. But I would suggest to you, if you're satisfied with it, just pass it with the caveat that it has to be reformatted to be 1 year in length, and then up to 5. We can just go ahead 1 year in length with 5 automatic renewals unless we give them notice otherwise.
Okay. The other question I had, if I may, and you may be the best person to answer this, Mr. Riley, is I didn't see any exclusivity provisions in there. Are there any? Like if we were to find another payment processor that we also felt was quite good in a certain piece of functionality, could we also use them?
I think you could also use a different one, but I think that the reality of it would probably be that we'd terminate at the end of the year and we would pick up the next one at the next year, just because the transfer of data and those kinds of things probably, and the timing would probably be not something that we would want to get in the middle of.
Gotcha. My main question, I guess, just for the rest of the council is just I have a little experience with payment processing. I think we probably all do as consumers as well, and sometimes the functionality, if you will, sometimes can be lacking, right? When you go to municipal sites, state sites, et cetera, versus what you might find out with a private enterprise. So I just would like to maybe make a footnote that, you know, I don't see any exclusivity provisions in here, so I know we need to get functionality now. But I would like to at least leave open the conversation that we might do some things for the citizens in the future to make business even easier in the city of Mulberry, or occupational taxes, et cetera.
I think this contract does also include provisions where they can do modifications for us, and they can actually do more customization if we were to find that. They do retain the rights to the customization because they're improving their product on our behalf. But that not only could you go find somebody else, but this provides an opportunity for them to respond from any issues that we might have.
Gotcha. That's helpful, Mr. Riley. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just have one quick question as well. The section with choice of law, with state, and the copy that I received wasn't filled in. This company's out of Delaware, I believe. Is this a Georgia jurisdiction? Section
Yes, if you give me
18.
the section again. We've
18.
we've updated this since you got it today. They are Delaware
Section
Corporation.
18.
Thank you.
You said it is Georgia?
Give me a moment,
All
Mayor
right.
Pro Tem.
No problem.
I have to put on my glasses here. Thank you.
I believe, Bill, there's a blank that allows us to select a jurisdiction for choice of law. I think that would be Georgia, I would think. We would
Yes,
fill that in.
If it's still open, I would ask that you insert Georgia.
Okay.
It is still open.
Any other questions or discussion about this payment processor? I will say that, I think, and thank you to the team at CPL. I mean, I know they've worked very hard. I mean, the biggest thing, right, is we've got to get the infrastructure up and running. And I thank the public for their patience. I know that they have been very patient with the situation that we found ourselves in, particularly with, taking on the permitting and items like that. And so the sooner we can get this up and running, I think the easier it will be for our constituents. And I agree with Councilman Ingram. There's always going to be hiccups. There's always going to be things we could take a look at, and change if we'd like. But I think getting this up and running is very important for our current situation. Anything else? Okay, then at this time, I will make a motion to for the mayor to sign and to adopt the payment processing agreement between CSG Forte Payments Incorporated and the City of Mulberry, per the terms as outlined in this agreement. Do I have a second?
Mayor, could I make an inquiry of that? Does that include adding choice of law to be Georgia in item 18? And does your motion also include that they will conform the contract to the legal limitations of time of the state of Georgia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Riley. Yes, so my motion will be to adopt this contract with the understanding, to Councilmember Ingram's point, that the term be in conformity with Georgia law as far as the term of that agreement, as well as that the choice of law provision will be the state of Georgia. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a vote of 5, it's unanimous. The payment processing agreement with CSG Forte Payments, Inc. and the City of Mulberry, with the choice of law provision being the state of Georgia and the term accurately reflecting what is required under Georgia law, it is hereby adopted. The next item under action items, item C, we are going to readopt the 2025 City Council meeting schedule. And we have some exciting news, is that as for those of you that have not been by, we have a fully functioning office. It is staffed. There is staff in there. We still got a lot of work to do. But it is staffed. And there is a room that would very comfortably accommodate a crowd this size. And so I think what we are going to do, if in the future, if we have big meetings or we expect a large, group, we will plan to probably come back to the church if needed. But we do plan to start holding our regular meetings at our city offices. And so starting next week, right? So starting next week will be our first one next Thursday, which will be the 23rd, I think. 23rd will be the first meeting at our new city offices of the City of Mulberry. And the address of that is 2089, or is that correct? Okay, that's it. Yeah, 2089 Terran Trace, Suite 120, Decula, Georgia. For those of you that are not familiar, yeah, they reminded me that I should be putting Mulberry on my mailing address. But basically, for those of you that are not familiar, so it's a lot of medical offices. There's some professionals that are back in there. It's across the street from Duncan Creek Park. So it's kind of, if you know where Duncan Creek Park is, if you know where the fire training center is for Gwinnett County, right across that street, there's a small road called Terran Trace. If you go down, there's a building right on your left. It's a 2-story building. And we do have an exterior entrance, and then you can also enter, we will direct you next week, but you can also enter through the main entrance of the building, and we'll come through that way. But so the council, we have changed and amended the 2025 council meeting schedule. The dates are exactly the same. The only difference is that starting on January 23rd, 2025, the address listed for those meetings will be 2089 Terran Trace, Suite 120, Decula, Georgia. So if you come to the church next week at 6:30, there's going to be nobody here, okay? So very important. Any discussion about the amendment of the meeting schedule or the new location? I would like to thank the other members of this council. All four of them played a role in getting this meeting space up and running. This was actually something that I had nothing to do with, and I was very appreciative for the hard work that each and every one of them put in to make this space a reality, and I think it will be very good at serving our needs. So at this time, I will take a motion to adopt this 2025 City of Mulberry City Council meeting schedule, basically as amended. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to readopt the 2025 meeting schedule to amend the meeting location to the Mulberry City Hall located at 2089 Terran Trace, Suite 120, Mulberry, Georgia, 30019.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, it's unanimous that the Mulberry 2025 City Council meeting schedule is hereby amended, which every subsequent meeting starting next week, January 23rd, will be at 2089 Terran Trace, Suite 120, Mulberry, Georgia, at the Mulberry City Hall. The next item I have is the amendment that we added is the proposed resolution. Councilman Rudnick, can I grab that back from you? Sorry. Thank you. Did you have a chance to look at it? Okay, so again, this is just a resolution, basically, which will confirm exactly what we've already adopted, that the City of Mulberry is going to adopt the 2021 revised emergency operations plan for Gwinnett County, which my understanding is in effect for all municipalities. Any discussion about this item? Okay, none. Then at this time, I will make a motion to adopt this resolution for the City of Mulberry to adopt the 2021 revised emergency operations plan for Gwinnett County for the City of Mulberry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, by a vote of 5, the resolution is hereby adopted. And Madam Clerk, do you know the resolution number on that one? 2025-01.
07.
07, thank you. So resolution number 2025-0107 is hereby adopted. Okay, that concludes all the action items we have this evening. We do have a few discussion items. We don't really have work sessions where we don't do them yet, and so this is obviously for open meetings reasons. This is the only time we can all be together. So we do have a few items that we would like to go ahead and discuss. Before we get into B, item A is last week we had discussed the hazard mitigation plan for the City of Mulberry. We had discussed some changes. Was there any other items that the council wanted me to reach out to the county about regarding that hazard mitigation? I just wanted to confirm there was nothing else any other items that needed to be added? The dam we added.
Okay, the dam. That's what I was going to ask about.
Okay. Yeah, so I will then, if there's nothing else, I will go ahead and reach out to the hazard mitigation team, let them know to make those changes, shoot it back to us, and hopefully maybe we can have it for adoption next week, okay? That will bring us then to discussion item B, which is the discussion of intergovernmental agreements on fire and EMS services with Gwinnett County, and really item C as well, discussion of potential other intergovernmental agreements with Gwinnett County, Georgia. So one of our council members is basically graciously agreed to take the lead on these intergovernmental agreements. And I'll let him explain kind of what an intergovernmental agreement is, what kind of has been going on. And so, that's Councilmember Shields. Councilmember Shields, if you could give us kind of an update on your discussions, kind of what the plan is moving forward.
Sure. When you're talking about intergovernmental agreements, along with, it kind of goes hand in hand with service delivery. Is that correct, Mr. Riley? Yes. And so with service delivery setup, a city's supposed to take care of a lot of different things. With us being City Light, we have the 3 items that you all voted on earlier. So all the rest of the service items, fire, EMS, trash, whatever it might be, is going to be handled by Gwinnett County. And so we are in open communication with Gwinnett County moving forward to make sure that all that stays the same and everybody continues the service as norm. So we have to negotiate that with the county. And Mr. Riley, I think you have a few more words to say on that too, correct?
Thank you, council member. Yes, we've already prepared the fire and EMS intergovernmental agreement. This is a standard intergovernmental agreement. It mirrors all the other intergovernmental agreements that the other cities have for fire and EMS services. In our discussions with the county attorney, he would like to hold off on that at this point in time, and because it really falls to the next discussion item that the mayor brought for us to discuss together, and that is the other potential intergovernmental agreements. It's his view that he would like us to go ahead and go forward with the kinds of things that are the immediate issues that fall into the purview of presently that the county wants to would be continuing to provide. Things like they would be doing the background checks for pouring permits for license, or the background checks for pawn shops, or that kind of thing. The interactivity for them to do the sewer availability for us, to give us a sewer letter so we can go ahead and do permitting based on sewer capacity that the county presently has. Those kinds of things that other cities and ourselves interact back and forth with the county, because they have certain functions and we have certain functions. These kinds of functions are not necessarily just for us, but they're most of these kinds of functions. The other non-police cities already have an agreement under, as the county attorney says, under the SDS, so the service delivery strategy. And so he's looking to us to go ahead and put together, we've had this discussion, is us to go ahead and put together these temporary pieces that we can go ahead and get your consent and consensus on, and the commission's consensus on, so we can have a formal memorandum of the kinds of things that they will continue to do under the transition statute. It's under the statute for them to do it. They have a greater comfort for us to go ahead and get the intergovernmental agreements, which of course we want to accommodate them and make them as comfortable as they can be too. So that's where we are. I would think that within the next, we're going to have a big meeting on the 23rd that's going to have a lot of things to go on. So it may be the following meeting before I could bring that to you. And I will get at the point in time you might approve it, then we would transmit it over to the county attorney for his review and let him take that up the chain over there. So I just wanted to let you know we continue to do those kinds of things. We're especially targeting the things that have to do with the folks who were in the process on development and applications, and the county attorney is in agreement that we need to move most expeditiously on the things that are most imminently needed for the governance of the city and the effective service delivery between the city and the county for all the citizens. So that would be my report on that, council member.
Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Any other questions or discussion about service delivery or the intergovernmental agreements that Mr. Riley is going to be drafting?
I have a couple. So one of the questions I have, and this may be preliminary, but I think it's an important one. So in Article 2, is that right? Article 2? Yeah. Article 2, Section 7, it talks about district fund and it talks about cost allocation methods. Do you know from I guess a Gwinnett Fire standpoint, when they talk about a district fund, is the district, would the district have a level of accounting at like a city or a boundary level, or is it across the entire county?
Councilmember, it is a county-wide service delivery district, a special service district, with the exception of the Gwinnett portion of Loganville. So all cities and unincorporated area of the county are the fire service is paid for from the special service district millage rate.
Okay.
And so it's a millage rate that goes across the entire service delivery area at a uniform rate.
Let me tell you where I'm going with the question that I'm asking is there's very specific language in here that says properly segregate the financial matters and records of the fire and EMS district. And so one of the things that we're going through right now is just, the entire exercise of financial kind of analysis of the city, our expenses, our income, et cetera. I think it's a reasonable ask on our end that we understand the financial allocation methods or understand some of the cost structure that we are paying for, our citizens are paying for when it comes to fire and EMS. And if in fact it's grouped across 1 million plus citizens versus citizens in Mulberry, it might just be helpful to know that. So during the discussions, I know I'm just bringing it up to Kyle maybe, is if we could find out, is there a mechanism for us to get data around that? Yeah.
There certainly is an open records portion that you can get all of that data, but there's going to be an accounting function, and I'm sure that accounting function is subject to their annual audits too. That is because if you look at that, there's a process where they allocate certain of the special service district funds. For instance, they would. And I could only imagine this, but I don't believe that they don't, because this is a standard practice in other jurisdictions, that they would allocate a certain amount of finance department to the special service district, because finance would be providing those services. They would do the same thing in public in public buildings or other pieces like that, where they would not build a separate department to do fire service infrastructure work or accounting work or personnel work, but they would make a determination of what portion of the HR department is doing fire. Sure. And so they would allocate monies out of that special service district fund to pay that part of the HR, or pay that part of fire, or pay that part of fixing the equipment, all those kinds of things. If they have a mechanic shop, if anything goes in fire, it's going to get allocated in that budget to that. That's the way they would do it. And
we'll have a share of that allocation, right? And so, yeah, and I understand that. I guess I was just trying to, I think if we could, just through the discussions, it would be helpful to maybe put a placeholder that we would just like to have some knowledge of that cost allocation method and of the associated expense, because it's what they're signing up for in Article 2, Section 7.
You're correct, Council Member. And every participant who pays into that millage rate and that special service district fund is entitled to that same transparency.
Yeah, just visibility to it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then the other question I had for you is, I noticed the term on this. It's and I suspect it's for, I understand the complexities of providing these types of services. I think it's 50 years, is that right?
I believe that one was 30.
30 years, okay.
And that's the same as all the other cities have, is a 30-year piece. You find in the fire service that you do that because of the capital cost of the fire equipment.
Sure.
Is in the multi-millions of dollars, and they're gonna use that equipment probably 15 to 20 years, and sometimes even longer in a smaller department.
Yep.
So the reason you have that 30-year piece in the fire services, and that's not unusual. We did the same kind of things in other jurisdictions when we did Dunwoody and DeKalb, is because of the capitalization cost and how you have to spread it out over a long period of time.
Sure, they need to amortize it across a long period of time. Is it fair to say that most of the intergovernmental agreements are going to have long durations to them?
Yeah, I would say that the ones that you would, generally speaking, I'll tell you what I believe is going on in Gwinnett County at this point in time. Generally speaking, any fire window you're going to see is a 30-year because there's a cap that the state puts on intergovernmental agreements. You'll see that as 30. A lot of the things that we're working out in intergovernmental agreements right now, while there may be intergovernmental agreements, we have not found them, and we have requested them. And in my discussion with the county attorney, he has not said that there were intergovernmental agreements, but they are covered by the service delivery strategy. In as much as we're not part of the service delivery strategy, but we operate under the transition statutes for transitioning from counties to cities. They're asking us to do an intergovernmental agreement, where the other cities are getting these services when they all signed off on the SDS, service delivery strategy. So I would say that I would think that the ones that we would do right now would be timed out, that would time out to our participation in the service delivery strategy, or a time frame shorter than that if we were anticipating that we were going to take on those other services at a time certain shorter than that.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? I'll just say, to echo what Mr. Riley said, is that obviously we look forward to working with the county. We want to work with the county. We definitely, I'll take anyone's phone call with the county that we want to work with you. We want to have a good relationship with you and continue to move forward. So my hope is that Councilman Shields, who's done a great job so far, kind of building these networks and having these discussions, that those will be fruitful and those will continue. So I hope that will continue. That concludes the discussion items that I have for this evening. The next item L, for the public's benefit. So the next item is what's called an executive session. And so we are going to take an executive session this evening to discuss the purposes of litigation. There has been a couple legal developments within the city of Mulberry. The first was we did receive a decision from the Fulton County judge who ruled that the Gwinnett County case against the city of Mulberry, or against the state of Georgia, would hereby be dismissed for a lack of standing purposes. So that case has been dismissed. But there has since been another lawsuit that has been filed by the Pool Mountain Drapac development against the city of Mulberry. So this would be our next lawsuit that we are going to talk about in that executive session. So we also are going to discuss some employment matters as well. Just for your benefit in the public, let me tell you this, is that you are more than welcome to stay. You can sit. I don't know how long this executive session will take. What will happen is when we come back, we will adopt any items that we discussed in the executive session, and then we will just adjourn at that point. So you're not going to be missing any discussion or any items. So feel free to leave if you'd like to. You do not have to stick around. If you want to stay and you want to speak with us after, obviously feel free to stay, and then we will be back shortly. Okay, so at this time, I will make a motion to go into executive session. Do I have a second?
For the purposes of litigation.
Thank you, Council Mayor Pro Tem. At this time, I will make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing litigation and employment.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, at this time, we will go into executive session. Thank you. We will return shortly. Okay, we are back. First off, I will make a motion to end the executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Third.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? That will end the executive session for the purposes of discussing litigation and employment matters. I don't believe there's any action items we need to adopt, correct, Mr. Riley? Okay, so no action items from the executive session, so that will conclude our evening. Again, thank you for those who stuck around, and at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Second the
You have a
motion.
second?
Okay, thank you, Councilman Ingram. So we have a motion to adjourn and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, everyone have a great evening. Thank you.